mention. Last year we raised over $20,000. So please do all you can, whatever you can afford. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm purchasing a ticket right now, right here, right? Because this is important. Here you go. Right now. Well, it's kind of hoping we get 99 back.
So you're challenging everybody for $100?
Or is it my 99 back?
Okay. Also, while I'm up here, there's another award that hasn't even been mentioned. There's only a couple of people that even know that this is being given away this year. So, and it's probably one of the hardest awards to ever get, okay? What we do is, after going and doing all the certifications and trainings and stuff, if you volunteer 50 certifications, you end up and get a 50s jacket. So, how many in here have 50s jackets? Stand up if you have a 50s jacket. And that tells you how hard it is. A roomful and a handful, okay? So, there's one gentleman who hasn't got a 50s jacket, so I reached out to Jane, and she pulled a miracle off, and Mr. Dave Garden now has a 50s jacket.
Look better on you than that.
There we go. Thank you guys so much. And now I got to do the rest of this. So the thing about that, guys, why would this be so special to a guy like me? Right? Because of all the guys that came before me that did everything that just, you guys are great. This organization is, and we say top notch, I mean top notch. All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so next, we're going to get into the golf, right? So we got, let's see if we can do this with, move on to something else. So what we got here, we'll hold up the board for golf. We have first place. No, let's not start with first place. Those guys suck. So we're going to start with, I guess, longest drive, but I'm off the card. Somewhere around here. Longest drive for female went to Kim Cherry. Is Kim Cherry here?
Do you want her to go up
Yes,
there?
Kim, you get a gift card. Go on up. Big deal there. Okay, so longest drive for men went to Matt Bear. I said Rod brought a ringer. I said Rod brought a ringer. I still told you guys Rod brought a ringer. All right, so closest to the pin for the men's, that would be Dylan Erickson. So is Dylan Erickson here? Hey, those guys are from Hanks. We like Hanks. Hanks is a new sponsor, or not a new sponsor. You guys been around before, right? All right, well, we thank you for what you're doing for us. Keep spreading the word. Thank you. All right, so Second place this year went to, I gotta tell you guys something. These guys are all ringers. All right, and it's not fair for a guy like me to have to play with guys that are all ringers. Rod Von Bush like builds teams. All right, he does. He's starting to build this year's team for next year. He's already starting to build it. So Tim Steinhauer and Ron Thompson and Matt Baird and Rod Von Bush, right? So right now, guys, just so you know, Rod has already figured out who's got the lowest score, and you probably get replaced for next year. Because he don't like going in second. He just doesn't like it, Rod. Here you guys come. Come on up. All you guys, come on up. Come on.
I will be back next year.
Rollin, you're done? There you go. All right, guys, I'm expecting you to buy me a drink later.
We have a spot open for next year.
All right, so first place is going to be a little bit embarrassing for me. All right, just a little bit embarrassing for me because I play golf with these guys. And the first year I don't play golf with these guys, they win. So they're going to come up here and they're going to say it's because I wasn't on their team. When we all know that they looked a lot better when I did play. They just didn't win. Jonathan, bring your team up.
Jonathan swings a hell of a ball.
All right, so here's the thing, guys.
Everybody can go home now.
Do we have any first timers in here that play golf? Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Oh well, this is gonna be okay. Sit down. Just one? Well, that's gonna be easy then. Come on up.
Oh, hell.
He's never doing it.
We're a non-profit organization, Jonathan.
There you go.
This is all Jonathan.
Hold on, guys, before you
Get
leave.
rid of Dave because it sucks so bad he can overcome that.
Ship it right from here.
Anybody like the building this year?
Although Dave hit the hotel last year. You're not supposed to.
Okay, so thank you guys very much for playing golf. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I know myself, when I got out there this morning and Lana was out there and she said she wanted to play, I was more than happy to give her my spot. So when she's walking off the golf course, all I could say was, how did I do? She said, what I understand, better than you did last year. But, okay, so next up, when it comes to this jacket, is there anybody here that's been here at every convention? We're at our 29th convention. Has anybody been at every? No, you haven't? Everyone? Ray Knapp has? Ray Knapp, come on up here. Ray is the only person that has been to every convention. So when I think about that, I think, gosh, he's old. Oh, Ray, please come on up. Here's the thing. So there's a thing at CFI that we used to say, right? And we still do say, the installers, we say it to ourselves all the time. If it's to be, it's up to me. right? So when Ray got off his knees, what did he do? He went to work for Taylor Tools. And the best part about that is, anytime as an installer, when I would go to a trade show at the local sundry store, they would always have somebody there from Taylor Tools. And he's a celebrity. All right, he'd come walking in with that Hawaiian shirt set up, and he's got all his display behind him. And then the installers, you could tell, all kind of gravitated towards him. Why? Because he knew it. He not only knew it because he did it. So he's a master certified installer that when turned into probably one of the best salespeople I've ever met. But so, you know, you might say a Gramps ramp or a stair tool, and know this, those are all his ideas. So he's not just an installer, man. That guy is so creative, it is unreal. So Raymond, please, fits to be, it's up to me, right? Fits to be, it's up to Ray. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge the fact that installers are so much more than installers. All right, we are so much more than installers. You look at Ruben back there, and Ruben with his YouTube channel, what's he do? He creates, he gives, right? John Steyer is out here, what's John doing? John's going to the high schools. He's got this thing going where he's teaching people in these high schools. Nobody asked him to do that. You know, nobody asked him to do that at all. I look at Rod Von Bush back there. Rod has been struggling to get his whole area generated with schools in. Right? And he's been doing this for a lot longer than I have. You know, and that should be acknowledged. And it really should be acknowledged. And we see it to ourselves, right? Our membership sees us. And so we love to celebrate who we are. All right, we really do. So let's give these guys, please, a short hand.
CFI!
Okay. Okay, so one thing that we talked about here just a little bit, and it said raise a master installer. We haven't had a Master 2 certification in quite some time. Right? And everybody here that's a Master 2 certified carpet installer, will you stand up? There's not many out there, guys. We need more of them. All right, so we need more people to step up and get involved. All right, those Master 2s, that is a test that took 3 days. And I tell you, Darius over there can tell you. Darius was one of the certifiers there, and I'm not going to say he wasn't friendly. Wait, no, that's what I'm going to say. But he was very good at his job, right? And guys, it was an honor for me to get through that test. It was a real honor for me to get through that test. When I was done with it, the first thing I did was I called my mother. That's how happy I was. All right, and then I called a couple of installers that told me that I had to take it, right? And it was Tim Zedek, which we did not know anymore. But these guys kind of pushed me along, right? Well, if you guys need pushing, I'm here to push. All right, because we need more people to step up and take the advanced certifications. All right, so thank you guys. Next, we're going to bring up Bob Gillespie. And Bob Gillespie is going to talk on the Charles Gress Award. Excuse me, the Charles Gress Achievement.
CFI. You know, before I start on the Charlie Gress, I would like to, I'm looking kind of Dave's list here. I'd like to identify a group of people that work behind the scenes to keep this organization kind of headed in the direction it needs to be headed. And that's your advisory board. Did anybody realize that there's actually an advisory board for CFI? So we have a advisory board, and I'd like for those members, Dave and I are both members of that board. The other board members to stand up and be recognized, please. Get a chance, thank each one of those individuals for the time and their talent, their passion, and the knowledge that they exhibit in our meetings and asking those questions, having some great discussions at times, sometimes a little heated, but we're family. And like any other family, we don't always agree on things, but at the end of the day, we all know that what we do here is imperative for keeping CFI in the direction that we would like to keep it going. So. And another thing I'd like to, any veterans that's here tonight, would you please stand up and be recognized? I too am a veteran, and thank you for your service, gentlemen and ladies. How about first responders? Any police, firemen, any medical people? Anyone that works for medical? Because when I thought about the Charlie Gress Award, I think about these are people that could fit right into this award. And this award, if you talk to anybody that has this award, they're going to tell you that besides their certification, the most cherished award that they've ever received is the Charlie Gress Award. And this year we don't have a recipient of that award, but Dave talked about some of the new people that's on the horizon. And I'm quite sure next year we're going to fill that void. But I still wanted to get up here and talk about it, just to kind of refresh your memory of Charlie Gress and who Charlie Gress was. He's a very unassuming person. He'd be out there in the crowd and probably wouldn't even know he was there. He never seeked the spotlight. It's Charlie Gress, number 355, Master Installer for Cumberland, Ohio. We certified him in Cincinnati. Jim was a certifier. And after we left, Charlie called the office and said, "This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So I'm semi-retired. Where's your next certification?" Jay told him, "Well, we're going to go to Indianapolis next week. Well, we show up." Charlie's in Indianapolis, waiting on us. Like he'd been up in his hotel room going through the phone book. Now, most of you that don't know what a phone book is, I got to think about that today. I thought, there's no such thing as a phone book. But anyway, that was Google. So Charlie would go through the phone book and call the retailers. He'd get there around Wednesday or so, him and Margie. And he'd get there about Wednesday, and she said she'd go on maybe a little shopping trip. She'd come back, she noticed the phone book would be open. And Charlie would be going through calling the retail community saying, "Hey, CFI's in town this week. Why don't you send your installers over, see if they can muster up here?" And believe it or not, we'd get maybe one or two to sign up because Charlie took it upon himself. He didn't get paid to come there, didn't pay for gas. It was his passion to come and wanted to be part of the group. Of course, the first one he came to, he looked over and he saw that our stair modules could use a little help. Our dead man was in real need of repair. And so, in the certification, we head back to Kansas City, and most of the original certification team came out of Kansas City at that time. And we're on the next trip, rolled over to North Carolina, and there's Charlie. He showed up. Found out we was going to be there. What did he show up with? 3 staircases that looked like a master carpenter put them together. A dead man custom-made dead man in a case that was laminated construction case, so you flipped it over. And plus a sign, we had a sign that we thought was a pretty good sign first, in and out of the truck for different certifications. When you walked in, our CFI sign was tilted this way and the arrow was up that way, so you had no idea which way to go where our class was going to be. But Charlie fixed that too, got that all right. So that was just the type of person that he was. That's what we came up with. If it's to be, it's up to me. He didn't look, he just looked around and said, well, this needs to be done. He became part of our certification team, and then soon afterwards passed away. Died from cancer. And it was a tremendous blow to our team at that time, because he came along, he was that breath of fresh air, with it just kind of need to kind of lift you up and get you going again. And so we lost Charlie. And so we decided, it was what, 96 to give out the first award. I've been doing it for 25 years. After I got the award, I was on the first with the group with Jim and some of the others. Got the first award, and I've been giving this award away for the last 25 years. By the way, Ray, I've been at 28. I've been at 29. This award is presented to the certified installer who has gone above and beyond the commitment to professional floor covering installation. One who demonstrates the art of craftsmanship, one who is willing to share with others, and to increase the industry and consumer awareness of the value and importance of CFI certified installers. Someone who does more than is expected. Recipients are selected on the above qualities, and their names are submitted throughout the year. These are specialty people for special times. During this award, a CFI installer must give himself sleep of his time, talent, and resources, just like Charlie did. CFI would not be here today without the contribution of all these fine installers who received this award. If it is to be, it is up to me. And did something about it. They knew that saying the same meant action, and just looking around the room, some of you probably are the reason why you are here today, because of these Charlie Gress recipients. So at this time, I'd like to recognize all the Charlie Gress Award recipients. Would you please stand up? Before I leave, I kind of asked some of the guys today, I said, if you just give me a sentence on receiving the Charlie Gress Award, what it takes to be a Charlie Gress recipient. So I said, I'm going to read off a few. Promote CFI in your area, low-tech, high school, career days, and schedule a certification. Become that CFI guy in your area. That guy that say, oh no, here comes that CFI guy. Be a member of the CFI certification team. Form a chapter. Got some more of this. Send it to me. Go above and beyond what's expected. It's an acknowledgement, and another one said it's an acknowledgement of passion and hard work. And then the Gress recipient is someone who does what needs to be done without being asked to do it, and without the expectation of the reward or the recognition. And then the last one is, when you're with a Charlie Gress Award recipient, buy them a Bud Light. Damn it, Dwayne. Thank you so much.
Guys, just so you know, that's number one. All right? Number one, Bob Leslie. We talked about it, so Bob Gillespie is certified number one. He was amongst the first group of trainers as well. And those guys, and Darius and Jim, of course, Ed Braille, and all those guys, they did a phenomenal job of just building a foundation, right? When we look around, though, we still need trainers every day. We need trainers. We're always looking for the next group of leaders. So as we ask you guys to get involved, we are actively looking to grow our certification team, our team of trainers, our team of teachers. And so if you're an installer who thinks you want to get involved, do it. Please give me a call. Because, you know, I got to tell you how scared I was of making that first phone call saying, yeah, I want to do this. I think I didn't make Jane call me, but Jane called me, as I say that. But, Jane called me up and she says, hey, you know, we need you in Indianapolis. And Jane calls me up and says, I need you in Pittsburgh. Jane calls you up and says, I need you in Louisville. Jane calls me up and says, I need you in Chicago. That's what a trainer does. You just get in the truck and you start moving. Right, and we need more people with that type of passion. And so we will help host a trainer event sometime this year. We're still trying to figure out some of the details, but we're looking to grow that certification and training team. So when I talk to you guys, and I think a lot of people here have talked to me because I've forced that conversation. I said, hey, get involved. You know, hey, get involved. You know what I'm asking you to do? Joe? Get involved. Oh, you're already involved. All right, fantastic. Marquise, what am I asking you to do? Get involved, absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to force Marquise to get involved tonight. Marquise won our Next Generation Award last year. All right, so that is a challenge, right, Marquise? It's a challenge. And Marquise is stepping up to the plate, and he really is. And Marquise is one of us. We embrace Marquise, and he's embraced us. And so we're going to bring him up here because he's going to be giving out the Next Generation Award this year. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's right there.
That's who's winning.
Well, I want to start off with saying how much this award means to me. So, when I first got involved with CFI, I thought it was a good idea for me to try to expand myself and get certified. So I got on a plane for the first time, and I failed my certification. So imagine that trip back home to my guys. I didn't tell them I failed. But I was extremely embarrassed. So for starters, I want to say thank you, Dave, for passing me on my certification when I failed your class. Of course, that came with a bargain. I had to show up to a CFI convention. So when I won this award last year, it wasn't just for me, but it was for my team. It was for all of the new installers coming up into this industry. And the person winning this award, I've seen them in action, and I just met them. And I seen them so passionate about the industry, and I was like, yo, this is the person. And I was honored to be able to say, Elena, come get your award.
Wow.
What you gotta say is, man, this is awesome, I'm so glad.
If I told you all this was awesome, you're gonna say you already know that. There's not much I can tell any of y'all that y'all don't already know. There's a lot of things I've done in my life. I've been in the military, I fought in the war. I watched myself get older amongst all of you. I've watched all of you get a little older. But the one thing that you all did that makes me proud is continue pushing forward. And if there's anything that I can do to continue with CFI, let's push forward. Thank you.
The cool thing about Elena is Elena's actually been around for a while. Her dad is a certifier. So we know she was trained there. She worked with the great Jerry Miller. So we know she knows what she's doing, right? This year, we needed help in a 5-week class. We needed help in a 5-week class, and the first person I thought of was Alan. But Alan doesn't answer his phone. As it turns out, I know I had the wrong number. But you know whose phone was right underneath Alan in my phone book? Elena. Elena not only answered the call, she made a situation. She turned a situation into a really good one for us, and that we can't thank her enough. So what I'm trying to say here, though, is the next generation doesn't know an age, right? What that means, that's the next up. But it could be any one of us here. I want to know who's the next up, right? So it's a challenge more than anything else. Because those guys that get this award, they're future Charles Cross Award winners, right? So thank you guys. Thank you, Elena. Okay, so the next award. Next award is the Chris Davis Award. Now, for those of you that have never met Chris Davis, most of us have here. Chris Davis used to run the WFCA. Seems like a long time ago now. And he was always at our conventions, always front and center, always pushing for people to get involved with CFI. And I know when I first met him, he's like this big guy, and then he lost a ton of weight, then he wasn't such a big guy. But he always had this huge heart. You know, and he had this huge heart for CFI, and I remember a guy like that, and I think as a young installer, talking to me, I said, I'm just an installer, you know, why that guy want to spend some time with me? And I always figured it was because Jane told him to. But one of the things he told me is I'm telling him I'm just an installer, he said, never say that. He says, Dave, you are way more than this. He said, Dave, you are way more than just an installer. He said, look straight up at me. But he was so correct. He was true. He was true, and so he was CFI. So it doesn't take an installer to be CFI, right? Although some installers have won this award before. I think we've given it to Andrew. We've given it to Andrew in the past. Andrew Smith, right? Who else here has won the Chris Davis Award? Please stand up. I would have liked to acknowledge that we have a guy that works for manufacturing that installed, guy that works for manufacturing that installed, both CFI certified guys, and Scott Humphrey, who didn't, but he represents what CFI is. So what this award is it's for somebody who represents CFI who doesn't necessarily have to be a certified guy, but we do like it if you are, because we like it when the manufacturers hire our certified guys. All right, but it could be a retailer. It could be somebody that in an area that just pushed CFI. It could be first and foremost that there's somebody that actually pushes CFI and helps us grow. So this guy here has been involved with CFI since the early 90s. All right, became involved pretty much in local chapters first. right? And so he gets certified as an installer, became a master installer, and then he stops installing for whatever strange reason somebody would stop installing. I don't get that. But apparently he thought that he wanted to save his body and grow old. He went to work for a manufacturer. Then he went and pushed his CFI and helps us grow work for a manufacturer. Then he goes to work for another manufacturer, helps CFI there. And today he may not be working for a manufacturer currently, but you know what he's still doing? He's still pushing CFI. When I say pushing CFI, this man is also one of the guys that certified me. And I like to tell a story about how mean he was. And he was mean. He told me all day long, he says, you failed this test. You failed it. Dave, I don't know what you did. You failed. You failed. I had to tell him. Do you know what you're doing, Dave? Do you even know what you're doing? And all day long he's challenging me to step out of my box and be better than I am. Right? So, and it really worked on me. He knew what buttons to push. All right, so without further ado, I got a lot more to write, and I think everybody here has their own stories about Dick. Right? We all got our stories about Dick, and if I pass the note around the room, the mic around the room, everybody here could tell a different story about Dick Schmidt. So, Dick, would you mind coming up and get your award before I start blubbering? People standing there getting wanting to achieve their C2, and Dick stands there in front of us and says, I passed 17% of my students. So what do I do? Right? Better than him. Hey, that guy looks pretty good, because that's like one lesson. Simple math, right? That turned out to be a very rewarding thing. And again, guys, there's a reason we do that. I mean, I was challenged to do that, right? And I was challenged to do that by a friend of mine who I was training with at Orcon, and he just, you got to do this, you got to do this. And finally, I broke down and did it, and I was glad I did. Okay. So next, what do we have? We done? We done, Joe?
We're done.
We're done? No, we're not done.
Yeah, let's move on.
Move on? We all done for the night?
Yeah.
No, we got a Hall of Fame. Yeah, all right. All right, so.
How many of them we got?
How many Hall of Fames? I don't know.
Are we just giving that to everybody now?
Well, we're not giving it to you. All right, so the people for Hall of Fame this year, first of all, we're giving it to a couple. And this couple comes as a team. All right, and it's really cool because when I first got involved with CFI, there were people that were pushing me. There were people that pushed me to the front because I wanted, you kind of drift back, to the back, and then this guy would say, "No, Dave, move on up, Dave, move on up, big fella." And he did I feel he's one of my CFI heroes, right? One of my carpet heroes. So. He was certified again in the early 90s. I think Jim and James were busy certifying quite a bit of people in the early 90s. Hand skills, according to Jim Walker now. This is according to Jim Walker. His hand skills were unparalleled. And that's saying a lot. And what we like to be told is, and this kind of goes to his jacket, This jacket is what, what we say for this jacket? You had to travel how far? 50 certificates, but how far was it travel, and what was the financial commitment that you put into CFI? Because basically you're traveling over 10,000 miles, back and forth across the country. Financially, it seemed like we're putting all this stuff, that's what these guys did. That's what these guys did in the early days of the training. And my first training that I went to with him, though, was without his wife. So on that first training, what did I learn? I learned that the table didn't run well without his wife. It didn't run well without his wife at all. As a matter of fact, when we went back that night, he's looking at the paperwork, and he's like, "What are you doing with all this?" I'm like, "Well, we got to figure all this out." And he says, "We miss Karen. Really miss Karen." And so, without further ado, I'd like to bring up Garrett and Karen, a couple of my carpet heroes.
Dave's not doing so hot.
No, we're done. No, we're done. Oh,
Pretty sure we're not done.
that's this. All right, there you go. Oh, what that's here for.
I don't know. CFI! You guys, that's pretty powerful, by the way. Let's do that again. CFI! What do you think of this thing on us? Huh? You guys ever heard that? We're like the mob. Forget about it. You're probably wondering what I'm doing up here. Or that you probably don't even recognize me. I'm Joe CFI number 3030, dressed up. My wife told me I should wear a t-shirt for this. What am I doing up here? I missed a meeting. Don't miss a meeting if you ever get on the advisory board. Dave wrote my name down next to probably the most difficult task I've ever had to do. So with that in mind, and John McHale said, Joe, don't be long or boring. So I only wrote 3 pages of notes for this. We have another couple that's a recipient of the Hall of Fame. And of course, with a couple, one of those people is a very, very iconic woman of this organization. And since we had Women in Floor Covering Roundtable, anybody go to that today? Because it was amazing. I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize the women of CFI. And I don't know if you know this or not, but there are only 3 certified CFI installers that are women. 2 of them are in this room. I'm sorry, I'm wrong about that. I'm just looking at Elena looking at me like, what are you talking about? There's only 3 Charlie Gress Award women recipients, okay, and 2 of them are in this room. And I'd like to read you this. Forget conventionalisms. Forget what the world thinks of you stepping out of your place. Think your best thoughts, speak your best words, work your best works, looking to your own conscience for approval. Susan B. Anthony. I think that's a good quote for us to use, and I want to congratulate Karen and Darius. And if any of you work with Karen, boy, we miss those candies, the bowls of candy. Karen, I can't tell you. I mean, she would show up and work the desk, and there'd be all this candy. I I want to kind of pass this by and just name some names, okay? Susie Nalma is not here. Susie Nalma is one of the best floor covering installers I've ever worked with, okay? And I just want to make sure that she's a Charlie Gress Award winner. Some people that some of you guys should know and hopefully will know one day, and some of you, of course, do know, like Darlene Miles, who's Kenny's right hand, lovely person, and we miss her. I want to talk about Tammy Buckhart, who, God knows anyone could talk to Tony until Tammy got a hold of him. And now he's somewhat, and she runs her own floor covering store for a long time. Do I have to say anything about Janice Pruitt? I mean, seriously, you've talked to Dwayne, right? I mean, you know that. And if we're going to go there, let's talk about Sherry Miller, because you've all met Sherry Miller. So if those two women were actually Catholics, they'd be already ordained saints. What they do, and we know that, right? Of course, Elena, my good buddy Elena, so proud of you. Crystal Sims, who's got a bright future, right? You've seen her work. Denise Brewer, Treva, and Kathleen Garden, which she could be mentioned, right? So Dave Garden took a one-man operation and pretty much turned it into 300 installers in how many warehouses? 14 warehouses. Dave Garden, Kathleen Garden did that. You've talked to Dave, you've heard of this. We know that. I met my own wife in a carpet store of all places. Gee, think of that. Crazy. And I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for Barbie Hope C. So, hats off to the ladies, and if I didn't mention your name, sorry, but you know, Kay Whitner. I mean, there's so many people, ladies in this group that aren't installers that do so much. Where's Tiffany? Hey, Tiff. Okay, you know, this. Hey, you've all heard the term "outkick the coverage," and most of us have. Okay, and the old term was, behind every good man is a great woman. We at CFI would like to say, next to every man is a good woman. And some of the ladies would tell you, a long way behind them is some guy. It all depends on how you want to look at it. All right, I just kind of did all that to calm myself down. Let me tell you about my good friend, the late Andrew Alfiero. And his soulmate, right now I'm just going to call her a Jersey girl because that's all she'll ever be in my eyes. Andrew started installing carpet in 1971 in New Jersey. In 1987, he opened his first store. In 1989, the Jersey girl walked through the door of that store. In 1990, they were never apart again. In 1995, they met the Pied Piper. You know who that is, don't you? Mr. Jim Walker. They were both certified later that year. Andrew became a CFI master his first try. And together they served on a certification committee. They volunteered on over 100 certifications. Andrew became the president of CFI. And Andrew eventually went to work for a manufacturer, Atlas Carpet. So, you know, basically leading the way for what you could do if you reached for it. He made me believe that I could do it, and when Congovian came calling, I was very happy that the corporate office was 10 miles away from Andrew and the Jersey Girl's house, so I could go see them whenever I wanted. And he would always say to me how proud he was, which I don't think I deserved, but, so Andrew got sick, and as he started falling away from us, became harder and harder to deal with. And the last time I saw him, I got on an airplane. I was in Philadelphia, the phone rang. Andrew had called me by accident. I said, this is Joe. He said, Joe, I didn't mean to call you. Sorry. Hung up the phone. A couple of minutes later, it rang again. This is Joe, Andrew. Oh, Joe, hey, I'm sorry, man. I was trying to call someone else. It happened about 3 or 4 times. And the worst part of that day is I had to go on airplane mode because I knew I wasn't going to talk to him again. Okay? When Andrew left us, he left the whole of CFI, and he left a hole in the heart of that Jersey girl. If he was, he is looking down on us, and he'd want me to shut up about him and talk about her. So since we're honoring a lot of women here at this convention, I want to tell you about our Jersey girl. She was one of the first persons to challenge installers to become businessmen. And some of you will remember, she was the one who asked, hey, do you know what a stick of tack strip costs? Do you know how much the money you're making actually costs you? She wrote articles on that. She challenged us to think about being businessmen. One of the first people to do that. And I can tell you, I can walk into a room twice the size of this one with people eating dinner and clanking, and in about 5 minutes, I would tell you where she was sitting. Because I can hear where she was. Not because she's loud, because she's as passionate a woman as you're ever going to want to meet. When Andrew left, she never came back to CFI. Not to CFI, but to convention. She never left CFI. Okay, and it took a lot of me knocking on the door going to New Jersey and getting into her ear. And she's one of the, if Jane Walker is the first lady of CFI, then my Jersey girl, well, she's the second lady of CFI. And she'll tell you, you cannot spell her name without a C and an F and an I. Please welcome back Cynthia Alfiero.
I am humbled and honored beyond belief. I don't know how many of you new people in here can understand the sacrifices that were made by so many people in this room that left their homes and their families and their jobs every Friday and went and did a CFI certification, coming back on Sunday under sometimes unbelievable conditions, from god-awful 100-degree heat and sub-zero degree temperatures, working in a warehouse. And we did it because we loved it. And since I've been here yesterday, I've heard this word over and over and over again. And it was one thing that we all had in common, is that we were passionate, absolutely passionate about carpet. I was commenting earlier with the ladies' roundtable that the founders had the vision to, number one, call this company, this organization, international, that you were thinking globally back in 1993, and that you also had the vision to call it floor covering. But make no mistake about it, CFI was carpet, 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 and no one did carpet better than CFI. And Andrew had read an article in Floor Covering Installer magazine about CFI. He picked up the phone, got Jim on the phone, and he talked to him for over an hour. And he hung up and he said, "You send that man $250, we're getting certified." That was in the summer of '95. We had to wait until they came to town in Pittsburgh in October to get certified. And Charlie Gress was at that certification. Dick Schmidt was certified. I'm 6'80", Dick's 6'82". I was too obedient. But I can tell you, when I met Charlie, and his stares were there. They weren't kidding before when they talked about it was done like a master carpenter had done that. But after we were certified, we were just on fire. We were like, okay, what's next? What's next? We did the same thing Charlie did. All right, we're going to be in Boston in 2 weeks. Well, we're there. What's next? We're going to be in Philadelphia. We're going to be there. We were there. I like to say we were the first Jim Walker groupies, but actually Charlie Gress was. But we never did any of the certifications for any awards. I am honored beyond belief. Any of you who knew me and Andrew, he was the love of my life, and I was the love of his. And when we first met and fell in love, he told me, I was telling the girls this earlier, and it's true. He said, I've gone through 2 marriages and a couple of relationships because my mistress is carpet. I am with her 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And I told them earlier, pardon my very rash Jersey language, but I got in bed with him because I knew that was the only way I was ever going to spend any time with Andrew. And he taught me everything I knew about the carpet business, and I taught him a whole lot about business. But needless to say, we were soulmates, and I do have a massive hole in my heart since losing him. But again, I just want to thank you so much for all of this, and all you new guys that are coming in. Keep that passion going. That's the only thing that's going to make this organization continue to grow. But again, thank you so very much, and I know Andrew will thank you.
The funny thing is about that is, the second time I got up to speak at CFI, I bawled, right? I cried. I said I'd never do that again. And I spoke at my dad's funeral. I did not cry. You know, don't get me wrong, it was an emotional day, but I managed to hold it in. You guys give me that darn jacket. And then listen to Cynthia. Guys, that tells where we are, that's who we are. Right, so, and I think I said a little earlier, CFI is in our souls. It's who we are, right? And we celebrate who we are. I like to say, we are the world's largest exclusive, inclusive club. Because if we get to know you, if you come and you want to get to know us, man, we'll wrap our arms around you. And we want this to be, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we had to have this in a stadium? I mean, I don't know if it's dreaming. I get to this dreaming. But I see there's so much passion here. And you know, gosh almighty. That's it for tonight. I was just going to say goodbye, but you, Cynthia, that was great. So, guys, thank you for a great evening. All right, thank you for a great evening. And I think that's all we got. Chris, do you want to say something to close us? No? Scott, you got it? All right, I guess it's up to me. Guys, thank you so much for the See you, bye.
Minus?